The Halloween season is fast approaching, and during this time, a lot of us performers try to find things that will go well for the spooky season. What I'm about to show you is definitely something that you can add that doesn't cost too much, but you can milk so much entertainment out of this. The idea of using just a pendulum to do magic with is something that spectators find extraordinarily fascinating. And I think it's because there's an inherent thinking behind it that there's really some kind of real magic that happens with a pendulum, especially when you take something, put it in their hands, and they do all of the work. It just shocks and amazes an audience. And this simple idea right here is something that you can milk for everything it's worth. And there's a million things that you could do, variations that you can come up with just by changing what spectators do what parts and so on. So what you can do, take your business card and draw an arrow on it. And you can do this right in front of them. Try to kind of make it look almost as if you're making it up on the spot. Then when you're done with this, you leave that on the table and someone has your business card. So the idea is that you're going to take the pendulum and you're going to get your spectator, one of them, to hold it above the business card, above the center of the arrow. And you're going to have them concentrate and get them to start making circles above the arrow. Then you're going to start talking them through thinking of an object in the room or a person that's not in the room, but where in the world are they? Which direction from where they're sitting? And you just have them concentrate on it. You have a second spectator, or you can do this yourself, simply spin the arrow underneath the pendulum, and you keep telling them when the arrow is pointing to the object you're thinking of, or pointing to the direction of the person you're thinking of, or whatever you come up with, the pendulum will start to change, and instead of going in circles, it will go back and forth in the direction of the arrow. And as you spin this underneath, now be careful not to touch the pendulum, or don't even come close to it. As soon as that's pointing in the direction that they're thinking of, the pendulum will start to slow down as it approaches. So let's say that they're thinking of something that's here. You'll notice that they start to change from spinning right about here, and the pendulum will go back and forth, and then all of a sudden, it'll kind of just swing right above the arrow. And you'll say, is the thing you're looking at in that direction? And they will, of course, say yes, because remember, they're in control of this the whole time. This seems almost anticlimactic because it's not, a trick with a big climax ending. But this will just floor them. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time explaining it because I've seen this 1,000 times and it's really hard to explain. But they will look at you and you can see the look on their face of how did that just happen? And you won't get credit for performing this fantastic illusion, but what you will get credit for is having the secret knowledge to bring them into this little circle of what they think might be real magic. So with a little bit of thought, you can come up with a lot of ideas with this. You can do card revelations. You can do basically like Hellstromism ideas. If you have them think of something in the room, then you can try to figure out what it is and you can name that that's the object that they were thinking of. So I want to give you a little bit of background story on this, and this is one of those woo spooky kind of things, but it really did happen. We have a place here in my hometown where they sell pendulums and witchcraft books and, maybe not necessarily witchcraft, but you get the idea. They sell candles and crystals and all of that. And they had this display with about 50 different pendulums hanging from like this metal tree. And I kind of got curious about looking at them, and I hadn't thought about doing any kind of magic with it. And as I was standing there looking at them, this one was hanging, but I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention to it. I was looking at the ones that were made out of crystals. There was a purple one, and there were some other ones, and this one was just kind of plain. And all of a sudden, as I was looking at them, I noticed as out of the corner of my eye, this one started to twitch all by itself. And you can see that this pendulum is very reactive when you look at it. It moves very well, and this one's so easy to use. But it started to kind of twitch by itself, and as I looked at it, it actually fell out of the group that I was looking at. And I kind of took that as my cue to buy this one, and I'm glad I did, because I've actually fallen in love with this pendulum over the years. It's just such a nice looking piece. So what I suggest is that you go out to one of these places or do some looking on the internet and find one that you really like, one that kind of sums up your own personality or speaks to you, and buy that and add this to your shows. There is such an endless amount of stuff you can do. In fact, I actually wrote a manuscript with a lot of the ideas that I've used over the years, and it's just, I can't recommend a prop enough. This is so simple, and it basically sells itself. You have to do almost nothing. So I'm telling you, this Halloween, you could be a complete entire standout from any other magician you might run into just by adding this little idea to your show.